What's up, YouTube? Una here to bring you another video, like the first one in a month. Good lord, I've been swamped, and I apologize for that. But we're gonna make up for it because I wanted to do like a TB and review, but I just haven't had time. I'll do my review of TB after the first one, best lessons learned and such. But we're gonna go even more. We're gonna zoom in on just the resistance for TB because the resistance is the best team for PvE. And I've got my man Adigan here with you. Do you agree that the Resistance in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes is the best investment for player versus environment matches?
Oh, definitely. Without a doubt.
They're our spirit animal. They represent alpha. I
Yep.
feel like like we all start going nuts on them for
Viva.
and then territory battles came out, and it's like, oh, this is so great. I can use them for this too because now with hat I just hit auto, and they totally suck at that. All
Yeah,
right.
they're fantastic.
Well, you know what's really cool is you bring the perspective of, dude, when they first came out. Remember when it was you and Martini were the first Resistance users. Like you went
Yep.
to the meta report, it was two people finishing in first, and that was you and Martini.
Yep.
Then you got me on board, but I've never gone above like Gear 7, Gear 8. So I've always been kind of like the low gear, low key guy. So we bring two different perspectives to this, and I'll kind of explore that for this TB.
Awesome.
All right, so let's talk about resistance when it comes to territory battles. I think it's fairly obvious, but let's call it out for those people that aren't sure or thinking about going resistance, and they're like, hey, I don't know if I should do it. My units are only Gear 8. I'm going to be the guy that says, hey, no, mine are Gear 8. Do it. But let's talk about how do you compare resistance and territory battles as opposed to the other game modes. How do you compare it? At again, like, would you say it's closer to Galactic War, or would you say it's more close to Arena?
So it's a lot closer to Galactic War, and honestly, like some of those higher end nodes, so like the light side 9A through D hard nodes, is a really good key-in of how they act. Because it's continual waves of enemies where your turn meter carries over and your cooldowns carry over. And so it's not like an arena where both you and them are starting from scratch, and once one side wins, it's over. It's once one side wins, your team needs to carry on and keep going.
Health, and turn meter,
Yep.
right? So you need to sustain a high level of protection and health for survivability.
Mhm.
Worst case scenario for when those crazy orbital strikes come in the later phases, because I don't have 17 Lobots.
Yep.
And then also the fact that you need to go before the enemy, and they take on both of that in terms of those challenges for how this game mode works.
Yep. And in fact, their greatest strength is that they can just keep going and not let the enemies get a turn. So
They are the
that they can keep
Energizer
that,
bunnies of Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
They just
So
keep
they can
going and
keep
going.
that health and protection when any other team that's fighting is going to be just taking hits, and they just won't.
Well, now let's talk about this, because I wanted to create this video with you because I did see some other videos. I won't say who, but there were some things that they did that I feel like we need to talk about, that like maybe someone that uses resistance full time might bring out, that if you weren't like a full time resistance, you might not notice.
Yeah.
Those, like, those minutia. When I was watching those videos, I was like, ooh, no, don't do that. so
Why
let's
did you
let's
do
ta-
that?
well, you know what? People are going to watch these and say the same thing about us, and that's fine.
true.
Let's share information.
But let's logic through it.
Yeah, this is why I chose this, and it's totally cool if you come up with a better way. I want you to share that with me in the comments down below. And we have had great comments. Like, I've shared some with you, the comments people have had with us about some challenges, about decisions we've made, and that's great.
Yep.
Like, that's what we're all about. So, first of all, let's talk about mod differences, right? Because you do not mod, or at least I would recommend, if you're not using these dudes in Arena, which, today, not so good. I mean, I
It's
think
definitely getting a lot harder.
yeah, you told me you broke yours out the other day.
Yep.
They still work, but not defensively.
Oh,
right?
no.
They bend over and take. They've always bent over and taken it defensively, but it's worse now
Yeah.
than it's ever been. So they're not really a good defense team. But you don't mod them at all like you would for Arena. I feel
No.
like if you're just using them for territory battles, and even to an extent, they're a little bit different from Hat. Talk to me about the big differences. Who's that one guy that's really modded differently? You feel
So
like for this?
Poe, you really don't need the speeds that you do for arena or hat, because with this team, once you get going, their speed really doesn't matter. So, I mean, it's good to have a little bit of speed in sort of the like phase 5 and 6 of these, so that you can make sure he does go before any of those troopers. But once they get going, the speed is more or less irrelevant. But what you really need is to get that potency up.
You know what? I have 2 resistance accounts. I've got my alpha account and I've got a legends account,
Mhm.
and I've got one where he is I think like 105 speed or something like that
Mhm.
with 20% potency, and my alt account, which it's a lot newer. It has like I think 47% potency, so like a ton more potency, but it's
Mhm.
only got like 60 speed. That account does so much better.
Yep.
It does. Like that extra potency from Poe is huge on those exposes, and once they're going, you don't have to worry about it since the turn meter turns over each phase, and the wave 1 are so weak. Just focus as much as you can on potency with a little bit of speed. I feel like it's the big difference. Everyone else still kind of potency for Finn, a little bit of what is it, resistance trooper. He's got more
Yep.
damage. Resistance pilot's got a lot more damage because she's got so much built-in potency and raise all damage if you use her.
Yep.
So watch the other videos if you want that info. That's the main difference. Poe, a lot more potency, a little bit of speed if you can.
Yep. You definitely want to get that potency, because especially in the later phases, it can really hurt not landing those exposes.
Phase 6 feels like you're going against like 110 tenacity sometimes. Like they resist mad, even with R2.
Yep.
So, all right, and that might change with BB-8. We'll see what happens when he drops.
Yep.
But let's talk about the kill order, because that's another big mistake. Is I've seen people go attack the units and strike a unit down right away as opposed to leaving them low with an expose up.
Yep.
The kill order is completely different for resistance, right? Normally you're like, I gotta kill an elite stormtrooper, get him out of the, or is it not the stormtrooper, the elite special ops, whatever, the spec ops.
Yeah.
Like you want them out of the picture with rebels. Like you don't want them going invisible and going nuts.
Yeah.
With resistance, it's different.
I mean, with resistance, for the most part, you really don't care about the kill order as long as you can control them.
Exactly. It's really the turn meter game.
Yep.
As they get higher, because even if they're stunned, that's another thing that caught me by surprise. Is even if they're stunned, if their turn meter gets to full, they'll do that orbital thing that'll do the ability blocks, which is super annoying. So you can't let them go, even if they're stunned. You can't. No one can go.
Yep.
All right. So let's talk about the general strategy. What is the general idea of what we want to do with resistance? Am I pulling up your video at this point? Is that what I'm doing?
Yeah. So, I mean, general strategy is, like most things with resistance, of get exposes, pop them, and just make sure your team can just go a ton. That's, the simple answer.
Well, it's not just getting the expose and popping them. It's a pacing game with the exposes, right? Well, I guess, I mean, the first 3 phases, not super important, right? Like these units tend to die pretty quick. This is phase 3B.
Yep.
Just for the record, and then I've got a recording of 4 something or other resistance, which with gear 7, gear 8. But this is full gear 11, full max, right?
Yep. Haven't got them gear 12 yet, but not sure I'm gonna bother.
Yeah,
because they're pretty great at gear 11 to do the job they need to.
Dude, mine do it at gear 7, gear 8.
Yep.
They take a few more hits, a little bit different challenge, but they work just fine.
Yeah. So, sort of the big thing is you want to spread as many exposes as you can, because that'll make sure that you always have an opportunity to hit someone who is exposed and keep the train going.
And a good example is what you just did right there, right? Yeah. So since the trooper does an expose on his basic, rather than just kill this guy, in which case no exposes happen, you switch targets to this guy just to say, hey, can I get an expose popped? Which if it failed, right?
Didn't land there, but
yeah, but if he did one, he'd immediately jump up to like half 55. Is it 55% turn meter? What's his turn meter gain?
He gains 55 on an expose.
So he would immediately be up here, right? And since the expose was there, Finn would pop it now. In which case, boom, he jumps up another 30%. 30%?
Nope, it's gonna be. Well, I mean, if it's popped, then yeah, it'll be 30. I think it's 35.
35 plus 55,
Yeah,
right? So he's basically ready to go. Poe will be going, but he's basically got full turn meter again if that
yeah,
were to happen. But if you just killed him,
yeah,
right? No potency happens, or no potency, no expose happens, so
yeah,
he gets no turn meter, and then Finn goes, and if he pops it, he jumps up to 55%,
yeah,
right? That's a whole turn you missed
yeah,
on this guy, which in later phases is going to be an issue,
yeah. So
right?
really, you want to spread as many exposes around as you can.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit less critical in both the earlier phases and the earlier waves, but
Yeah, yeah. The first few waves you smash through pretty quick. All right, get out of here, guys. Let's do this. Wait, here's a quick question. I don't know if you know the answer to this. You know how his Finn's basic, the first time it goes, it deals extra bonus damage.
yeah.
Does that get reset with each wave, or is it just once for this whole encounter?
So it's based on the enemy.
Oh,
It
so
is
it's
the
not
first
the
time
first time.
an enemy is hit by it, not the first
I
time
see.
he uses it entirely.
Me being the low gear guy, dude, I don't even have omegas on that. Like
Yeah,
I just, I'm just like, yep, good enough. They're gear 8, done. All right, let's do this.
yeah. It deals 100% more damage to enemies that haven't already been struck by it. So each
I
new
gotcha.
enemy is going to be different. That said,
I gotcha.
in theory, you're probably hardly going to use it because you want to be
No,
using his special that gives exposes.
right. You just do it kind of like at the end when you're just popping the final expose or whatever.
Yep.
Okay. So again, rather than so you've got let's go back here a second here. So you've got one expose up, right?
Yeah.
Now, what you could do, so he's already got 100% turn meter,
Yeah.
right? So if you pop this, okay, it's going to get Poe ready, okay?
Yep.
But either way, he's going to go next, in which case he's guaranteed to be able to do this expose,
Yeah.
okay? So you might as well switch targets at this point to try and land a new one, like you're talking about. Rule
Yeah.
number one: spread the exposes, especially if you've got another guy that can pop it or can
Yep.
land expose coming up next. That's basically
Yeah.
what you're doing at that point.
Yeah. The biggest thing in territory battles, it's an endurance game, and you don't need to just kill everyone as soon as you can. You want to make sure that you can last through the whole thing.
Well, I mean, there's no risk of these guys going.
Yeah.
None of them are close to going, so you might as well as kind of pace yourself, basically.
Yep.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful Poe, beautiful.
Yep. That's what we like to see Poe doing right there.
Okay, so here's another example. Rather than just pop these to give everybody turn meter, you've got 3 guys ready to go. There's no way you'd leave this
You say
for the
pilot's
next move.
going right now, and 3 others are already at full. So, A, there's no point to it. B, let's get some more exposes out.
Exactly. And why do you want to have a whole bunch of exposes out for the final?
So that's sort of one of my key points is you want to leave up an enemy with hopefully 2, if best chance is 3 exposes, so that when whoever deals this killing blow right here, you're going to give your whole team 70% turn meter going into this next phase right here. So you've got, when we get back to it, we've got Pilot, Trooper, and Finn.
Well, just Poe's ready. She's close.
Yeah,
He's close-ish, but no one's actually ready
yeah,
at this point, right? So
Yep.
so Poe would go, and then she would go, and I think he'd be close enough, but that's about it. Well, I guess since there's 2,
yeah.
right?
Well, 2 is going to be 70%. So
Yeah, that's going to be a ton, right? So
So
we're gonna watch. I went too quick. We'll see it in the next round here, real quick. So here we have 1, 2, 3 people ready to go.
So we got 3 of them at full. Ray is pretty dang close, and Poe is not far behind either.
And Poe's already had 2 resets,
Yeah,
right? So he just needs 1 more. So basically, the last hit, and that was one of the things that kind of.
well, he had his taunt up already, that last one.
Oh, that's right. He said the basic. If
Yep.
he had done the ton. Okay, fair enough. But that was one of the things that kind of like irked me a little bit when I watched some other. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but it's like save the guys with the exposes for last. Like that is absolutely critical so that you're ready to go the next round,
Yeah,
and you're also resetting those cooldowns for that next round.
yep. So kind of one of the other key points is you pretty much at all times want to try and have Poe's taunt available to use at the start of the next wave.
Mm-hmm. So here's his first turn, and we have his taunt ready. So it's a lot like what you walked us through with the hat, is
Yep.
that since you've got 4 targets in P2 of hat, right, you want to be able to pop, basically, this is the only mass expose, well, I know we have BB-8 coming, but right now, the main guy this is the only one that does the mass expose.
Yep.
So when you come into a new wave with 5, 6 people, you want to be able to pull off that mass expose move to, one, get him to go, to pop whatever you need to go in and get that resistance train going,
Yep.
right? Pop. Pop. Okay, so now talk to me. Now, when Poe does his taunt, he lands the buff immunity,
Yeah.
right? Talk to me. Is this none of these guys are elite? Talk to me about this buff immunity strategy with the taunt. Is there a reason you put it over certain units?
Yeah. So one of the commander's like unique ability is the second they go below 100% turn meter, they give taunt and protection up to to the highest health ally.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like Chirrut and Baze, of when Chirrut goes below 100% health, Baze gets that taunt.
Mm-hmm.
So the commander does that. So kind of what I like to do is spread buff immunity to the enemies that are most likely to receive it, because it's not going to, that ability is not going to look at someone who has buff immunity on them and go, oh, well, they can't be a target, so I'm going to go to the next person. It picks the enemy with the highest health pool, or the highest max health at that time, and tries to apply it to them. And if that person has buff immunity, then it's not going to land. So they're not going to have that taunt forcing you to target them, but they're also not going to have that protection up, wasting even more time.
It's a lot of protection, too.
Yeah.
It's annoying. So I just wanted to call out for the previous points earlier, too. You save the guy with the 2 exposes.
Yep.
And over red, right? Because if it's red's 20%. So if it's over red, you'll know you'll at least hit 2 of these.
Yep.
In which case, you're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4 resistance ready users ready to go. He'll be at 70%, and his taunt will be refreshed with this move.
Yep.
Had you not saved the guy with over red and at least more than 1 expose, you wouldn't have done basically that move. In which case, there'd be turn meter left on the table basically for when you entered into this match right here.
Yeah.
So here you go. Full 4 people, and then him at 70%. Uh-oh. Now we got the elite. We got to start talking about the elite snowtrooper.
Yeah.
Now, most people will have the option. So the easiest 101 solution is Finn, right?
Yeah.
Because Finn will stun.
Yeah.
Because what happened... Let's pull it up here. You do a mouse over this, don't you?
Yeah.
Say, here we go. Plus 70% counter chance, basic calls assist, and it's painful.
So yeah, if he does that counter, that means that he's going to use his basic, which means he's going to call an assist. And if he ends up calling someone else who can call assist, because there's a couple, you get this chain reaction, kind of like if First Order can get going.
Yep. I've had it happen before. Like, totally, like, the first time we had territory battles, like, you're kind of learning things, you know what I mean? And I'll be honest, I didn't read through every single build. I was just kind of going through it. And one of the times I smacked one of these guys not realizing what was about to happen.
Yeah.
And it was just like, pop! Like, Poe was just gone.
Yeah. Like, all of a sudden, he'll counter, end up getting like 4 or 5 attacks out of nowhere, and all of a sudden your guy's gone.
Yeah. And like, I literally just stared at my phone of just like, what the hell just happened? Because, like, I'm thinking in my head, oh, resistance, no one else is going to get a chance to go. So this guy is probably one of the most deadly because his trigger is off turn meter.
Yeah.
Right? It's just a hit. So the easiest solution is, 1, try and do the Finn takedown to stun him.
Yeah.
But that's also the riskiest.
I mean, it's definitely a risk because it's an 80% chance stun. So you don't have a 100% chance to land it.
Right. And right now, you're going to have Finn anyways, because that's how the resistance work.
But that is definitely the one that everyone will have that's using resistance.
That's my alt's only option right now.
Yeah.
and that's just the nature of the game. I trigger around these other people, and I just save him for whenever Finn is up. I try and go for it. I just
Yep.
try and stun him. Now I used to what I would do is I'd try and stun the other guys first.
Yeah.
They die too fast, and at least for me, it
Yeah.
was hard to get to him to stun him in time. So I just risk it for the biscuit and go for the stun with Finn.
Yep.
Uh, give me another option. What's another option that people could use here?
So probably the more common option after Finn is going to be using R2. And when you have an elite snowtrooper, you want to get R2's stealth out so that
Mhm.
anyone else who's going to be hitting that snowtrooper won't trigger a counter.
Yep, because when you're stealth, you don't trigger counters.
Yep.
Um,
And then there's one more option, which is the one I use, but
yeah,
it's not going
buddy.
to be common because it requires you to Zeta Ray, which I'll admit
Mhm.
not a lot of people do because it's a really niche Zeta.
And I don't know if I would recommend it just for territory battles.
Yeah.
But if you're considering it, you're going to get, before territory battles, it was really just P4 of Hat.
Yeah.
I mean, to an extent, she helped out with, I guess, Rex battles. I mean,
Let's say I used her in Arena, and back when I was still using them in Arena, with the Commander Luke Skywalker, it stops his turn meter gain and his countering.
Mm-hmm.
So it is still useful.
Okay, so it's probably more valuable than I'm thinking, but
yeah, but
territory
it is still
battles,
somewhat niche.
Territory battles brings it to a whole new level because if you fail to stop trigger happy, this unique where it counters,
Yeah.
that could end your run.
Yeah.
Right then and there, right? I mean, I've had it happen. It was horrible.
Yep.
Because Rey's, if I understand correctly, is not resistible.
Correct. If she uses a special, it will land days.
So you're basically going for exposes. Now here's the commander. He's a healthy guy. So
Yeah.
you're gonna start with him. And then my guess is out of all of these, next, if your Poe is gonna come up, you would have put the buff immunity on him for health reasons, to your previous point. Yep. All right, our moment of truth. Oh, how nice of you to highlight this for us in your recording.
Yep.
As long as she has no debuffs. Woohoo! There's no Nihilus on Hoth yet. Rey has a plus 25% offense. We know that. But our Zeta inflicts days for 2 turns. Whenever she uses a special ability, this effect can't be resisted. Beautiful. So this is perfect.
Yep.
Where there's no risk with Finn not landing his stun, there's no risk with R2 not landing his stun. I guess that's kind of a third option, is R2 could technically stun too.
Yeah.
But so he can stun and he can do the stealth. But bam, you put that daze on there and look, no counter.
Yep. So now he can't counter and he can't gain turn meter.
You know what? This and that's important for the whatchamacallit, commander, if he ever did his crazy thing. You know what bugs me a little bit? Is when before Rey even gets there, the daze is already up. Yeah. I don't know about you. That irritates me, and that happens all the time with Foresight too. Like GK will have Foresight, General Kenobi, and when someone goes to attack him, the Foresight's already gone. So when the move is happening, I'm like, does he have Foresight? I don't know, because it just disappears instantly. Yeah. It drives me nuts. I don't know. I'm anal. What can I say?
I mean, I get it with Rey because that one is triggered as soon as she uses the special.
Yeah.
So that one, as soon as you click that special to say, I am using this, all of a sudden,
pop. They get the little hieroglyphics caveman drawing above their head that says, you shall not attack. There you go. So, did he go below full health? I can't tell.
Not sure.
That's the one that does the taunty thingy, isn't it? Sometimes I feel like they don't do it, and I'm kind of surprised. So, okay, pop quiz, audience. Who are you going to save for last here?
Ooh, I know.
This should be really obvious because, remember, these exposes do 20% max health, right? And it's health, not including protection. So if your protection's gone and you got 5 exposes, it doesn't matter who, what, where, how, this unit's going to die.
Yep.
So and as a result of them having so much health, you're going to trigger more exposes. So even if they are under 20%, you will always trigger one expose. Like
Yeah.
that's just hard coded in. You always get one expose if they have it above their head. And then for each 20% marker above that, so let's say this is 65%, I don't know if it is, you would trigger 3 of the exposes basically.
I
Do
think
I
it's
have that right?
65%, you trigger 4. So 1 expose is
Oh yeah,
up to 20%, 2 up
3
to
for the
40,
20.
3 up
Okay.
to 60. Yeah.
Maths. Damn you, maths. But point being, as we talked about, is this is the guy that you're going to save for lunch, basically.
Yep.
I want to see your term is just going to be cranked throughout the rest of this, isn't it?
So yep, and I do that so that, when you finish off that last guy there.
Oh, there it was. There it was. So you hit this guy. He's the healthiest, so boom, he gets the taunt.
Guess I didn't put the buff immunity on him because I figured he was low enough health that he would be lower than that commander, but I guess not.
Yeah, well, sometimes it's hard to see with all these debuffs too. I gotta be honest. Well, that would be the thing we talked about earlier, where someone's watching this video and is just like, "You dumbass, you didn't put buff immunity on him. You're so stupid."
Whoops.
Yep. So okay,
I
so
make mistakes too.
Yep. So in theory, let's say this guy had 1 expose, in a lower health.
Yeah.
You killed him. He would be at 35%.
Yeah.
She'd be at like 75ish. She'd be like at 80ish, and these two would be ready to go.
Yeah.
But since you got so many here, you're going to have a full team with ready cooldowns and 100% turn meter going into 6, which is probably the most difficult wave, right?
Yeah.
Oh, no elites, you son of a... I hate it when you come to this last phase and it's like 5 like elite commanders.
And then you never get through them.
And then 1 stormtrooper just to make sure that you can't kill anyone because it would give everybody turn meter.
Yep.
So at this point, this is just easy peasy off to the races. You're going to put buff immunity on probably this guy next? Nope, just ran. You're probably not ready to start hitting this guy anyways, but...
Well, everyone else is below full health, so I figure they're all weak enough that the commander's going to have more.
Oh, because it includes himself.
Yep.
Fair enough.
Because I've seen the commanders give themselves that taunt and protection up.
That's true. I didn't think about that. That is true. All right, and at this
so that's usually why I start with them, because they tend to be one of the
last one
guys that have a larger health pool.
Mm-hmm. And you usually leave them for last too, so it's only natural. All right, that's open and shut case, man. This is going to be a 6 out of 6.
Oh yeah,
and we'll do a territory battles like overall thing in general because Alpha has got a really good strategy. But look how many territory points you get for a 6 out of 6. If you didn't know, I see so many people freaking out about Guild Galactic Power. Is it Galactic Power?
Yeah.
GP, is that what it stands for?
Yep.
People freak out about having 80 million versus 90 million. If you don't have the light side teams to be pulling 6 out of 6. I don't care how much Galactic Power, right? This is where so many of your points come from, and that's why Alpha's been doing really
then,
good.
If you consider it, you're deploying a team here of 5 that's worth maybe...
It's usually like 70 to 80, 90.
70 to 90,000 Galactic Power. And they're returning that and getting you another 370,000. So the return investment from using the combat missions and getting that full 6 out of 6 is really going to improve your scores.
Mm-hmm.
And Resistance, they're a light side team, so they're one of the best to be able to use.
Absolutely. All right, let's go. I've recorded one of my runs, so this is in 4. Look at this. Look how much our Galactic Power has grown since the last.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. Zeta had a good plan there with how to grow our Galactic Power. So we'll share that in another video. But I'll tell you what, guys, I see it on the forums in terms of recruiting. People be like 90 million Galactic Power, and then they have the same star count that we do. So I'm just very proud of our team to be able to pull together on the light side combat missions and how we do our deploys and stuff like that. It's tight.
It's all about that coordination.
So here's what was my Galactic Power? 67K. Like, do you see that? Yep. 67. Like, I have crappy units.
So you're deploying 67,000 worth of power, and then at the end of the combat mission, you're getting what? On phase 4, it's like 400,000 something. So you're getting like 400% return on your investment right there.
Yep.
Whereas if you just, go for just having everyone at gear 12 and just going for straight galactic power, that's just a 1-for-1.
Yeah. And then look at my unit's health and protection compared to yours, like 4 bars, 5 bars.
Yep.
Like I have like nothing compared to what your units, which were like this. But watch how fast I dismember them. Right? So this is stage 4, so they're gonna be a little bit beefier than yours. But it's gonna be it's not doesn't take that much longer.
Nope.
Honestly. Because so much of resistance damage and here's a good example. So I was thinking about popping them because I had no one really ready to go.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not that big of a deal. It's phase 1. But then I looked at the turn meter of these droids and I was like, you know what? Let's go ahead and risk it for this because these guys aren't going to do that much. And then it paid off, so I landed the expose.
Which is going to boost up Trooper's turn meter.
And even if I had missed, it looked close, but it looks like Ray was going to beat them anyways.
Yep.
To the punch to going anyway. So just look not only at your turn meter of do you need to crank it a little bit more, but look at the enemies and see, okay, could I beat that? It's phase 1 or wave 1, so I'm not saying like this was some brilliant move, but just watch it.
Yep.
All right, and we'll save this guy. That's a good point. Let's go over that real quick. So we talked about it, but let's just show it real quick. So there are 2 exposes, right?
Yeah.
But he's red, which means he's below 20%,
Yeah.
which means all you're hard coded to pop only one.
Only going to get 1 expose. Yep. So even though I had 2, only 1 is going to count. But if you had, 21%, both of those exposes would have popped.
Indeed. Now let's talk real quick. The territory's battle specific thing. The orbital strike.
Mm-hmm.
Do you use that with resistance, or like do you have a strategy for when you do that? Like what?
You mean the airstrike that we get?
Is orbital strike theirs and the airstrike is ours? Is that what it is? The button that blows stuff up. When do you use that?
With resistance?
Yeah. Do you use it?
Almost never.
You know why? I don't know why. That made it sound like I had some trick. I don't do it because sometimes, like particularly like with there'll be snow troopers, like elite snow troopers in the last one, and then you trigger that, and then they call in their buddies, and it just turns into a shit show real quick.
Yeah.
That it's better just to let the resistance just do their thing.
Yep.
You know what I mean in terms of managing the expose. And here's a wonderful example. So here's Poe, and I'm going to go ahead and risk it, which is probably not the best idea, because I had 3 units, and I was like, okay, well, if I can get 1 or 2 exposes, that'll at least get the turn meter ready for these guys to go on the next phase.
Yeah.
I only got 1. Now I won't be able to land expose with anyone here.
Because
Okay.
any move you use is going to kill them.
Exactly. So this is going to be one of those moves where it probably was not a good risk to do.
Yeah.
But it's also phase 2 that I wasn't too worried about it because he's going to get an additional 35% turn meter, which means I gotta kill 2 exposes with only about a 15% buffer, which is gonna go away as soon as you pop that first one. In which case it's random what turn order he's gonna go.
Yep. So yeah, in that instance, I would have just used his basic to finish one of them off.
I know, I would have too. If I could go back time, this is gonna be that moment that someone's gonna look at this video and be like, Una, you just talked about saving that and making sure it's ready. Whatever, I screwed up. Get over it.
Yeah. Life happens.
Yeah. Now, do you do anything special with the probe droids with resistance?
Not really.
Like I don't either when it comes to leads because
honestly, with resistance, the only real threat is having the commander put taunt on someone and you not being able to clear it for a little bit, or getting a counter string by one of the elite snow troopers. Anything else is effectively a non-issue.
There's 2 minor things I'll add to that. I agree, 100% agree, but I'm going to add 2 small little notes. One is when you've got a snow trooper alive, every time you kill someone, it gives them what is it, 20% turn meter when they die or something like that?
So snowtroopers, I think they get 20, and every other empire gets 10.
Gets 10. It gives units a boost though. That if you
Yeah,
had units that were close to going and you kill a unit, whether it's a snowtrooper or not, everybody's going to get turn meter. In which case, there's a chance that they might go.
yeah,
So I will say there is a small little proviso that sometimes I will kill snowtroopers just to avoid that when someone's close. And again, like we talked about earlier, it doesn't matter if they're stunned or what. That orbital strike of theirs will still go and then
yeah.
potentially ability block some of your dudes.
So I'm not sure if it's a bug or not, but I've noticed even if I kill the snowtroopers first, when I'm killing other units, they're still getting that turn meter.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If a snowtrooper is like in
Huh.
the battle ever, it seems like that ability stays active. At least from what I've
Huh.
seen.
Maybe we'll see it here in this video. I can't say I've noticed that. I usually just jump up and down in excitement whenever I kill someone. So, and then here's another example that like we've just gone over a couple
Yep.
times, but is we kill the guy with um like lots of health first, right? But
Yeah.
we've got 3 people with exposes. These 2 are red. This guy's yellow. You leave the yellow guy because
Yep.
then you'll get multiple exposed bonus. Oh, I got 3. Bada boom, bada bing. Full turn meter for everybody.
Yep.
Okay,
If
so
you
now
can get someone with like right around 50% and 3 exposes on them, that is the best you could possibly do. Because that means you're going to have your entire team at full turn meter ready to go.
Yep. So here is our airstrike friend, and I don't want to push it because that would trigger this
Yep.
guy's counter potentially, a 70% chance or whatever. So here's where we talked earlier about, okay, so how do you handle him? I don't have R2.
Yep.
My array is not Zeta. I've got one option, and that is Mr. Finn and his takedown.
Yep.
Now I have tried it to stun a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
But I just in terms of timing, the exposed does so much damage. It's hard to stun everyone and then
Yeah.
come back to him still. Like,
But also,
'cause
it's an 80% chance to stun, and that's a pretty high chance. So, in the grand scheme of risks, it's not the worst one you can take.
yeah. And since I have so many commanders here, this is where it gets kind of tricky when you have these resistance. Sometimes you get an expose and they're the only one to expose. You have to hit them, which could potentially trigger,
Yep.
you know, the taunt. But you
Yep.
gotta take. I feel like you gotta take that risk sometimes. Like if particularly with me being a lower gear, so I don't have
Yeah.
as much potency. Sometimes, okay, so I just killed one. You see how everybody got turn meter from
Yep.
it. So now he was the only snowtrooper, right? I think these are
Yes.
spec ops. So we'll see when we kill these guys, do they get turn meter basically? Oh, okay. So here's their turn meter right now. We're gonna see if they get it. You ready? Oh, they did.
Yeah. So
I
if
thought
a snowtrooper is on the field, that effect seems to persist. I'm not sure if that's intended or not,
I think that's a bug.
but that
Didn't
is something to
because
be aware of. And I think it's possible that if there are multiple snowtroopers, that stacks.
oh, it's painful. It's painful
So
when there's a couple
if there's
of
like
them.
2 or 3 snowtroopers out, every time you kill someone, you're giving the whole team like 20-30% turn meter. So
Yeah,
it
they
can rack up
gain
real quick.
they gain it fast. I don't know the exact numbers if it's 20% or if it's higher, but it's annoying. So back down you go, says Poe.
Yep. So that's the other great thing about Poe, is that taunt also reduces turn meter on all enemies. So that can help counter that.
Yeah, yeah. For any mistakes or any of those draws, that because it happens, you don't get it perfect turn meter every time.
Yep. But I'll
There
say
we
like
go.
my usual sort of order for Poe's buff immunity is you try to get any elites, especially if they're at full health, and then usually the stormtroopers have the highest health pool, and then the commanders after that.
Oh, see, I didn't get any elites either. We showed
Yep.
we showed the easy video basically. I guess I didn't really think about did I get one, but
Well, you
it's the
got
same.
2 of them on that last wave, but
Yeah, but like you know what I'm talking about when you show up here and there's like 4 or 5 elite commanders of
yeah,
an elite snowtrooper. So, but irrelevant. you just have to put the buff immunity on as many of them as you can.
Yep.
Watch when you push them below the full health because that's when they taunt. And then even if you do his clear, I just clear it right away usually because
Yeah.
there's so much protection. I don't even try and do exposes and work through it. I just clear it. It generally that has been the least of my problems. It's usually when the spec ops go or when the elites go nuts and just take you out real quick.
Yep.
Here's a time where I should be using. I feel like the airstrike, because there's no reason not to. I feel like because none of these guys will counter.
I mean, if you had Ray up, sure, but all the other guys can put on an expose somehow. So
I'm leaving. You know what I did? I'm gonna pretend that I did that for that video for that guy to be out there being like, Una, you made a mistake. Should have dropped that airstrike.
Nah. Honestly, like, Resistance doesn't even need it.
No, they really don't.
There have been a couple occasions where, like, imagine this situation right here, but if you're that Stormtrooper commander there, if he was a little bit under, like right now, you've got all those exposes, I'll probably just be like, I'll just kill them all.
Mm-hmm. Pop, there you go. So gear 8 in phase 4 did 6 out of 6. I still do it in phase 5 and 6, and I'm sure if
but yeah, let's look at that. So it was 423,000, and you put in a group that was 65,000 or 67. Yeah. So you're getting almost 7 times the amount of points returned off of that team. So they really are fantastic.
We're gonna do the maths. 4, 2, 3, 0, 0, 0 divided by 6, 7. And then you have to remember that it's like you can gear 8 and real quick. Yep. You know what I mean? Like it's not like you spent a lot of time to do that. There you go. 6.26 blah 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 times the return.
Yeah.
If my maths are correct, I assume that's how you do the math. I don't know. I always get nervous doing live math.
But yeah, like that. This team can pretty consistently get 6 out of 6, and that last wave always gives you the most points. So like if you go 5 out of 6, you're usually leaving a bunch on the table.
You are. You need to go 6 out of 6 in these territory battles in order to get like the most for your guild.
Yep.
So let's recap the 3 do's and 3 don'ts that we said. I mean, we went over a lot of stuff. This is step by step. We go into super detail on these. Let's recap at a high level. What are the 3 do's and don'ts again, Adigan?
So we want to get buff immunity when there's a commander out. That's probably one of the biggest things because that taunt just wastes time. You want to save one enemy with 2 or hopefully more exposes that can trigger to get your whole team full turn meter and cooldowns going into the next wave. And then if you got that elite snowtrooper, your best bets are stealthing with R2 or using Zeta Ray to daze. Otherwise, you got to use that thin stun and just make sure he doesn't counter.
Okay. And then the 3 don'ts that, like, common mistakes that you might make with resistance.
Well, we already saw you do the taunting when you've got no exposes up on enemies, so you
don't
really want to
do
avoid
that. That's a horrible move. Who would do something like that?
I don't know. Because you want to have pose taunt up as soon as possible at the start of waves, so you can get everything going.
Yeah. Another one of the big don'ts is don't follow the traditional attack order, right?
Yeah.
Follow the exposes and let the elite stormtrooper and like whose unit turn it is guide who and when to attack, like and put the buff immunity on the right characters. Don't just go after like how you would attack this with rebels, basically.
Yep.
And then I guess our third tip was the don't attack elite stormtroopers without R2, Ray, or Finn to stun.
Yeah, you don't want to trigger that counter chain.
All right, bonus tip. Phase 6, they have a redonkulous amount of tenacity that I will bring R2 into phase 6 sometime just to get a little bit more of that bump, just to guarantee that I get the 6 out of 6. Maybe BB-8 will help there. In those non-evadable, and we've had a debate about this.
Yeah.
Allegedly, You can't evade it, but that doesn't mean you can't resist it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens when BB-8
Yeah, their
comes
wording
out.
is funny. Sometimes it's hard to tell what they exactly mean. But I mean, he does give that potency up buff. I mean, his is only 25% versus like the legit potency up buff, but any potency is going to help.
Mm-hmm. I think he's going to be a good unit because I think also he is a backup to Poe and allows you to potentially do stupid moves, such as when there's 3 units left with no health and doing a taunt. If BB-8's ready, you could do that because BB-8 can just pop the expose on the whole team next phase.
Yep.
Well, I appreciate your time to do that. The original Resistance user Anakin, the original meta when he was the meta. And this has been Una, who has been living the low gear Resistance life basically ever since I Zeta them, and they work out just fine. But it definitely gives you a little bit more of a challenge with potency. So
Don't
forget that R2 for that final phase, guys. All right, guys, appreciate it. Guardians out. All right, let's go ahead and stop that recording. No, that's not it.